seem to shake you, baby. I can't seem to shake you, baby. All I do is dream about you, baby. All I do is dream about you. Remember when you loved me? I loved you, and then you left me alone. You know I'd always come back home. We can't pretend that this is the end, baby. All I do is dream about you. I can't seem to shake you, baby. I swear tomorrow that I'll give you up. Save the sorrow for when we wake up. But for tonight it seems I'm tangled up in you, tangled up in you. I can't seem to shake you, baby. I can't seem to shake you, baby. I swear tomorrow that I'll give you up. And I will save the sorrow for when we wake up. But for tonight it seems I'm tangled up in you, tangled up in you, tangled up in you, tangled up
That's right, and we're back live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Street. Do me a favor, beautiful linda raza, man. That's all I ask is hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and go through some formalities. We'll make some announcements, and then we'll go ahead and bring on La Doctora, the guest of the evening. Go ahead and go through some formalities. Of course, if you're new to the channel, I appreciate your subscription. I promise it's educational, informative. We laugh, we joke, a little bit of cheese, man. But obviously tonight we're not laughing at anything. We're gonna talk about some good stuff. But if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you subscribing, man. We got fire content. It's a good segue. Let me go ahead and make this announcement also before we bring on La Doctora. If you see me post on Instagram, gente, I put it out there. I want to give a shout out to Selena's Foo. Shout out to Selena's Foo. Hey, you resharing that thing, cabron? Got me un chingo de DMs, cabron. I know how popping you are now, cabron. Selena's Foo, and shout out to Selena's Chronicle. Those are 2 pages on IG. Of course, we're looking for the 4th guest. You can call it co-host, guest. Want to find the right individuals. The chemistry is important. Personality is important. I'm trying to give you guys 4 Mikeys, but hopefully different. And it's a good all-star panel. So without further ado, the new show is coming soon. It's going to be up and going probably by the end of the month. Let me see. On the 19th, I got to go to the ink session. So that one I got to do. Then I'm going to heal up. It's going to be by the end of the month, okay? Let me heal up because obviously we got the ink sessions. We got 2 more ink sessions and then we're done. But the new show is coming already. We already got 4, 1 agreement already back. We just got to get the paperwork out of the way. We know how this is, right? So I'm as soon as we get everything inked, after that, I'll be introducing the personalities, maybe with their own, biography, whatever. It's time for Central California / Northern California to get on this map and do it the right way. A lot of cabrones have been trying to do it, but they can't. They're not the ones. Your boy's going to have to step in there. It's going to be more on the plate of shit to do. We're going to add another show. So pumped, so excited. It's going to be right here in Chicano Street Studio, man. I appreciate you guys. So that's one announcement. And then the other one, ay, ya se me escapó, man. Ya se me escapó. But anyways, everyone that's in the comment section, Jenny Selby, La Chicana from San Diego. I appreciate you, amiga. I appreciate you more than you know. Death Row, numero uno, with the American, Mexican. I like to put the Mexican flag first, cabrón. But because, well, again, it's how it was always written out on paper, right? Si lo escribieron. We're so used to saying Mexican, American, but that the USA flag is first is beautiful. It's beautiful. Daniel Gonza says, LA County's in the casa. What's up, Mikey? I see you, my boy. I appreciate you. So we got Dr. Jimenez is going to be on tonight. I respect her time. As soon as she gives me the thumbs up, I see a camera on. We'll go ahead and bring her on the screen. I don't see it yet. Okay, so it's not yet.
Can you hear me?
I absolutely can. I just see that the camera is loading, amiga.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that
No
is.
problem. You can always
The
reset.
internet me sacó. I had to log in again.
Amiga, how about you power down and reset, and I'll give you like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
And just use the same link. I think that's what's going to do it.
Yeah, okay, let me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so anyways, there's La Doctora, man. I appreciate her time. I want to get down to some mental health, some growing up in the hood, how our mannerisms, our habits are basically formed at a very early age. No one is talking about this in the brown community. The vatos that are macho and how they treat their women, how you treat your friends, the bullies, all of those things stem from a real early age. I'm excited to have Dr. Jimenez on. But we'll go through the comments again. My hermano, Si Se Pudo podcast. I appreciate you, cabrón. Si Se Pudo, man, bro. It came across. Let me just for a moment right now, I want to acknowledge the hermano Rafa that passed away, bro. I remember he came. Si Se Puede. It's Si Se Puede, cabrón. You already know that. Hermano, I remember he came to the Cholo fight. That was his comeback fight, right? Like Cholo had a lot. He felt like, you know what? He wanted to run it back again because he gets that itch, man. It's Chicano el way and 100%. And he wanted to run it with Buzz. And I remember that hermano Rafa came, man. So Si Se Puede hit me on the phone, right? Pass. He's like, Mikey, man, I got this brother. And wooty woo. Can he come? Absolutely. Now he knows we're charging gate and everything. But for a brother, though, and the struggles that he was going through with the big C, you know, at the end of the day, él ya sabe, man. The checkout time. He knows the checkout time 100%. Absolutely. So he's no more, where he's at, there's no more suffering, hermano. There's no more llanto. There's no more clamando. There's only alabando. Where he's at, the angels say, holy, holy, holy. So I just wanted to say that now that I saw you, Si Se Puede. Death Row's in the casa. He says, the Spanish blood in me, homies. I want to conquer the world. That's right, man. I like that laptop, Mikey. Can I get a few dubs for it? And what about a box of Brillo, cabrón? A box of Brillo? It's not even worth a few dubs in a box of Brillo. This shit is, look it up. It's the M2 that came out June of 23, June of 23, the M2. Look it up, man. I think it's like $49.99. I think I see Dr. Jimenez trying again, but the camera.
Sí, aquí estoy.
Yeah,
I
I
not
see.
sure if I should restart the computer. I logged off and
Go ahead. We're only gonna. Hay que intentarlo just so much. I
sí.
mean, don't do no long like computer update or
I'm
whatnot. Give it a couple
sorry.
more minutes. Go
Yeah.
ahead and
Y
reboot
eso
it.
que entré a las 6:45, I was ready, but
Yeah,
the
no te preocupes. Like I
camera
said, try it one more time. If the third time's not a charm, no te preocupes.
okay,
All right?
let
Let's
me
try it
go
one
ahead
more
and
time by rebooting.
okay, gracias.
Okay. All right. Dr. Jimenez right there. Well, like, Mikey, what's cracking, gente? Oh, it's all good. Did you see that Mile High Hustle? He's getting ready for another pelea. I think it's July 14th. He's going for it. You know what? I'm glad that he made it a lifestyle. That's why I drink less and todo más chingaderas. On Sunday, while everyone's day drinking, you already see what I was doing. Máquina. I was on track, man. Let me go back to the announcement, though. I don't want to say names yet, but we got the new podcast that's going to be coming to you once a month. The reason we're popping this thing off is because we're underrepresented. No one has planted a flag in Central California. They haven't planted a flag in Northern California. Again, I call us more central, but we are Northern California. I believe Salinas is actually both. And I got let me see. Three on the show are from hometown. So they're like Dr. Jimenez. She's a homegirl. I guess she's from Salinas. She's a homegirl. 3 are from Salinas. And one of them is from South County. And so I can't wait, man. The chemistry is already there. The vibe is there. And we're going to go ahead and put this thing on the map. And I want to just get feedback from you guys. You know, if it's some boring ass shit, I want you to comment. It's some boring ass shit, not even worth watching. But if it's entertaining, lit, on fire, then that's what I want to hear. Because then we'll go more in. We'll go more into making more clips of that content and different things, right? I'm going to give you a hint, though. I will give you one clue, just because you people are hanging on while Dr. Jimenez is having some technical issues. But I'm going to give you one clue, just one clue on the team for the new show. Is one of them from the town, from Salinas, okay? He could do his own show, stand-up comedy. That's all I'm going to tease right now. That's all I'm going to tease, man. It's because of you guys we're doing this thing, man. 14K, 2 years this month. It's the feedback from the pinche raza. Now, of course, I did talk to all the cabrones. I said, look, man, you guys are going to have to be up on game on Chicano channels in California because it goes down and they hadn't heard of like the YouTube yarda or nothing like that. So the comments are going to be what they are, man. But we're going to go ahead and bring a new show and we're going to do this thing right. Okay? Everything we've already been reacting to for the new show, we're going to keep the reactions coming. But imagine instead of one, now we got 4 perspectives. And so we're going to balance all that out. I can't wait. It's the first show will be coming at the end of the month. And there's already a lot of other things going on, man. I got to go to Mexico back before the end of the month. Hacer algo más. 2, 3 things popping in my head. I just want to stop, smell the roses, slow it down, and just enjoy life, man. Soak that moment in, okay? Well, without further ado, we have Dr. Jimenez. ¿Cómo estás, amiga?
Hola, buenas noches. Thank you for being so gracious with your time as we're troubleshooting. I have a backup laptop, so I use that one. Gracias, I'm doing well, other than these technological glitches.
It'll happen, amiga. I want to go ahead and jump right into it. I actually got a lot of questions they wanted me to ask you. I like to make it more geared toward my viewers and what they wanted me to ask you. If you don't mind that,
Of
we can
course.
check those couple ones off the list. For anyone that's either listening live right now or listening on the replay, gracias for tuning in to Chicano Tube. We have what I call a homegirl.
Gracias. Yeah.
Profesora
In the house.
in the house. from Salinas, California, hometown. And I respect your time. We're going to keep it to about 8 o'clock, no more than that. Amiga, someone wanted me to ask you this. Is our upbringing in childhood a direct correlation to the habits we form as we transition into adulthood?
I love this question. Absolutely. Thank you for asking such an important question. To address that, let's begin by saying like the mental health is a social issue. It's not an individual issue. While we all have struggles with mental health collectively in our communities, especially in brown, black, indigenous communities, es muy común, right? Así es de que that's important to recognize. It is a social issue, it's a collective issue, it's a societal issue. And the reason why, it's because we live in a society, right, that is shaped by racism, that is shaped by poverty, that is shaped by xenophobia, nativism, right? Todas estas cosas que nos afectan. And then that trickles down to, what do you think? The family, right? The family is an institution. Todo empieza en la familia. And if we come from homes where our families are struggling financially, they're struggling with, just struggling in life, and their parenting and the environment is going to shape how they socialize their children. Así es de que 100% our upbringing has a big impact. Our environment at home, that's just home, imagínate. And then we go into the community, right? Our neighborhoods. And then we go into the school system. Así es de que that's why I say that mental health is a social issue, that because of the structures of our society.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that. I just had a friend, shout out to Miss Carol Edeza. She just started another 501(c), and I invited me to be the board of directors. It's called Teen Moms Inc. Okay, Teen Moms Inc. So she's going to be, she has a passion for mothers who are, teen moms. But I believe she said that the program is for anyone up to 24 years. And I'm on the board of directors. At first, I asked her, "Are you sure? I'm a guy.
Yeah, hey, check your privilege, male privilege. I love that.
Are you sure? How's it gonna look?" I'm sure, but obviously my space is your space, and we could do this together because I have a heart to help. Now, my question is this: do you what triggers, what kind of issues would cause, say, young ladies,
Yeah.
male figures,
Mhm.
and be underage,
Yeah.
teen mothers?
I know that this topic could be a whole YouTube conversation just to acknowledge the importance of this conversation. And I'm glad that you're in that board so that we have the male perspective.
Mm.
Because we need men in this healing journey. ¿De dónde viene esto? Son muchos factores, right? We can do Spanglish, right? English, Spanglish,
Absolutely.
Español, right?
It's
Let's talk about the cultural values at home, the cultural value of silence, the role of Marianismo and machismo and the calladita culture. That plays a big role. I mean, this is one element. So I can't really fully address comprehensively this question because, like I said, it's very nuanced, but it's important to recognize the cultural value of silence. And when I say this, it's not inherent to our comunidades. It's not inherent to my familia or yours. It is something that we've been conditioned and socialized. The cultural expectation of Marianismo. And Marianismo is the self-sacrificing femininity. The Marianismo is rooted on and has a lot of pressure for females, where en realidad las mujeres se tienen que permanecer calladitas, quiet, agreeable, accommodating to men, catering to men. Basically, you're catering to the patriarchy, right? There's a lot of emotional and physical labor involved where you're hyper visible yet invisible, right? Entonces, these are gender roles that affect women, right? Especially young girls and then like later teenagers. And we're not even talking about like added stressors about what's happening at home, like if there's domestic violence, what kind of traumas are going on at home, what's happening at school. That's going to lead, young girls to have these relationships. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué es la relación que tienen con su mamá? ¿Cuál es la relación que tienen con su papá? What kind of attachment challenges, issues are they facing, right? And oftentimes their last resort is irse con el novio, tener el novio a veces pues te baja las estrellas y los
Mm,
calzones,
yeah.
right? But at the end of the day, a lot of it is rooted as what's happening at home, and it's a way to get out. I feel like there's a lot of our young women feel trapped, feel caged, and I know that sounds pretty strong, but that is a reality. These are systems of oppression that are happening at home. Like you feel like you're suffocating oftentimes, and your only outlet is irte de la casa para tener esa libertad or that freedom. For whatever reasons, it might even be abuse, right? Or maybe your family
Yeah.
has so much trauma there that they have the chancla culture, that they have the violence, y te vas con el novio. So you see that it's so layered and so nuanced.
What about I've heard so much, and this is not just brown communities, but I've also heard a lot of stories of abuse. You said the word abuse
Uf,
within the
ya,
family, and
claro.
everyone is calladito
Sí.
about that.
Ajá. Mira, la
Why
ropa
is that?
sucia. Have you heard that saying? La ropa sucia se lava en la casa. You don't air your dirty laundry, right? Basically, lo que pasa en la casa se queda en la casa, no dices nada, se queda entre familia, se murmura. Like people know what happens at home and people talk about it, right? But not like publicly. So that promotes secrecy, and that promotes a silence, and that's going to impact mental health and being able to talk about what's going on. And for women, for las mujeres in particular, they're socialized to be quiet, to suppress their pain, to even actually the gaslighting that happens at home, that like, no mija, esto no pasó, this didn't happen, o si pasó, te quedas calladita. And I tell you by firsthand one experience going through sexual violence and different forms of trauma, but also as a professor, what I witnessed from my own students and their writing and the class conversations that we have. I create these safe spaces for students to realize like, oh, can I say better words in este espacio or no?
Mm.
Kind of. So like my students will be like, oh, I didn't realize like this was happening. They have these moments of feeling acknowledged, feeling seen and validated by their experiences. And oftentimes there's sexual abuse that comes directly from family members. And las mamás, women reinforce a patriarchy, women enforce systems of oppression. And muchas de las mamás, fue tu culpa, tú qué hiciste, right? Blaming las mujeres de lo que les pasó. Or in other cases, and this is true. These are like real anecdotes that I get from my students and even in my podcast, my guests too. The gaslighting that happens at home by la mamá, by la tía, la abuelita, they try to cover everything out. ¿Por qué? Porque la ropa sucia no se lava afuera de la casa, right? You keep it quiet.
That was, we're talking about teen moms. Anyone that just tuned in right now, don't forget, you should follow the Doctora Hortencia Jimenez on IG. Ever since I started following you, I saw everything you do, and you're just so positive, full of energy.
Gracias.
When I see your page, it just gives me energy.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
positive
Yes.
energy too. So
I try.
follow her on IG. Now we mentioned about our behaviors causing us, these habits that we get started at a young age, teen moms, and what leads to like wanting intimacy, seeking
Mhm.
intimacy with men. Now, what about for the men? I work at the juvenile halls, Doctora. I go to the youth detention center, the camps,
Sí.
and the same issues I hear are rooted in the families.
Sí.
And I want to ask you, what do you think would trigger or cause a young man to go get jumped by some friends, start gang banging, and be about drugs and guns and recklessness and destruction? What do you think the voids or the failures or triggers were to that?
Yeah. Yes. This is such a sensitive topic. First, I want to just honor my students that I've lost due to gang violence, students that I've lost due to violence who've been system impacted, formerly incarcerated. So this is a sensitive topic because, you are in the ground, I'm in the ground as an educator, seeing the trauma that our students go through, and to partly answer this question again, because it's very complex and nuances, nos damos de vuelta, ¿qué está pasando en el hogar, en la casa? I'll give you like different anecdotes. Mental health. Mental health is huge, and because a lot of our community, a lot of the parents who come from working class immigrant backgrounds, they may have mental health challenges because of the stigma, because of poverty, the lack of resources, lack of access, financial, time, resources, language. No agarran los servicios y a veces no se dan cuenta que tal vez tienen un diagnóstico, right? And that's going to impact your parenting. So that's one. The other is the intergenerational trauma that we're carrying, the legacies, right? From 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations, right? That we're carrying. So parenting has a big impact. That's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do of healing. It takes our generation, your generation as a father, right? So that your son will become a better man, in the community, in future generations. So el trauma de los papás, for their own immigrant experience, even the challenges that they're facing here, their mental health challenges, y eso va a impactar how they're raising their children. Another thing is the acculturation, right, process, especially if you're like an immigrant or U.S. born first gen, Mexican American, like you're trying to figure out who the hell you are in this society, right? Trying to find your identity, and peer pressure is a huge one, right? You're trying to fit in the school system when society tells you, wait, we don't want you, like over here, like it's appealing to join a group where you find brotherhood, where they're giving you what you may be lacking at home, right? A sense of belonging, a sense of identity. Que el sistema de la educación nos está fallando, right? I mean, there's wonderful educators out there, but the system itself still needs to improve. So that's partly part of it. The other is, again, going back to the cultural component of, just like I talked about Marianismo, el mismo con el machismo.
Yeah.
We need to normalize mental health, especially among men of color, right? La cultura cura, right? We know that that's a fact, and we see how connecting to our cultural roots is part of our healing. And so part of the machismo is this gaze, right? The male gaze, but also the masking of manhood, right? Pretending to be the tough guy, right? The tough guys. And I get it, right? Dr. Victor Rios is a sociologist. He does a lot of work on system impact to youth. He was actually a former gang member. He works at UC Santa Barbara in the sociology department. He has a wonderful book called Punished. And he talks about specifically these issues. And in a society where men of color, they're being stripped from their dignity, they're being stripped from their masculinity and manhood. And one of the ways you try to exert that is through gangs, is through that brotherhood, right? And I'm not justifying that, but it's like you're finding and carving spaces to be seen, to be heard, to belong in a white supremacist society that doesn't want you, that hyper criminalizes you and only hyper masculinizes you as a violent person.
I talked to, wow, that was a comprehensive answer. I don't go that far. I don't go that deep, but I talk to these brown men all the time, doctora. I talk to the brown men, and I'm often just thinking, what is this brown seeking for community, barrio, and it's hard because then it turns into something that they get programmed so many years of their life to give it. And I used to go to the adult correctional facility, but I stopped going there and just focused on the youth because I saw that the turnaround rate, the receiving rate, the message was more at this age than it was at this age. And so I think about that, and oftentimes I'll get one of the young men in the corner who'll want to talk to me one-on-one. And he'll tell me, everything you just said, that's my story, man. Domestic violence. I grew up in a home, a doctora, that I constantly was seeing my father my mother was just boom. She's on the floor getting hit. And my sister used to take me into the room and kind of have me in the room. And I often thought, my wife also is kind of like you. She likes sociology. She's not a doctor like you. Sociology, and she told me one time, she goes, I think a lot of the behaviors are from your upbringing on what you saw.
Yeah, claro que sí tiene que ver con eso. And we can hold, I think that the hard part is being able to hold space in our family, recognizing the harm and the damage that they have caused, and holding space for that, and holding space also if there is love still there, if there's empathy and compassion, right? It's difficult, and I think that's part of the healing process. I'm not here to say, you need to forgive, you need to be compassionate, when they cause you so much harm. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we can hold multiple truths about our family. They were this and this and this and this. They were all this, right? And it's the complexity, because we need to move away from talking about our comunidades and especially our families as one-dimensional. Loving and caring are totally bad, right? It's in between, and it's messy and it's complicated, right? It's like como los quiero pero los odio a la vez. I mean, it sounds strong. Well, I'm not saying like los quiero pero les tengo resentimiento, and that's valid, right? And we shouldn't shame folks. That's also part of the mental health, is being able to talk about it and recognizing it, right, and normalizing it, and not shaming. Like, we need to create these safe spaces for our comunidad, and especially the work that you're doing, right, where system impacted youth or formerly incarcerated they need role models, because like you said, if they lack them at home, if all they saw was the violence de los papás, que un hombre tiene los pantalones en la casa, ¿y qué significa eso? Violencia, oftentimes, right? Y aquí yo soy el que mando, y aquí, right? And we know that. Well, we live through that, and we're impacted as women, but so are men, right? And we may take different paths, right? Men may go into gangs, women might go into gangs too, or teen pregnancy, eating disorders, a host of social issues. That's why I say mental health is a social issue. Pero al final del día, los hombres necesitan tener ejemplos de seguir, right? And we lack that because we're first gen, right? First gen who are paving the way in higher education. And then you look at the media, right? The media also promotes toxic stereotypes, often, men of color, hyper masculine, violent. When do ¿dónde está? Where's the pride, right? We saw that, that in the Chicano movement, like cuando miramos las imágenes, and we still see that, and it's 2025. Yes, they're educated out there, Chicanos out there, pero the stereotypes still remain, right?
Absolutely. And in those situations that we're talking about, Doctora, like abuse, teen moms, unfortunately joining gangs, whatever it is, what if someone is listening and is trapped in one of those situations and says, my family is exactly what you guys said, they're calladito, and they're in a situation? Do you ever what do you say? What do you tell someone in a situation like that?
Yes. Well, shout out to my former student. I just saw the comment right there. That's amazing. Ay, gracias, qué linda. The first step is acknowledgement. Yeah, we cannot have a conversation if we don't acknowledge how messed up the family is or what's happening at home, right? It begins with the person, right?
Say it's a mujer, no, but say it's a niña. She can't tell. Who does she tell?
Yeah, esa es el parte del silencio, right?
Family, yeah, she's in the family that we described.
Yes.
What does the girl do?
We're talking about, yes, that's huge. Las tías. So if you're listening to me, you're a tía, you're a comadre, you're a tío, you're an adult. Have these conversations with the niñas, con los niños. Hey, si te tocan, it's not okay. Like, let them know what is okay, what is not appropriate, and that you're a safe space. Like, even before something happens, families, like, ahí están fallando las familias. Por igual por los traumas, ¿verdad? Y por todo lo que están pasando. But if you're listening and you're an adult and you're around children, talk to the children. Let them know what is right, what is wrong, and that they can trust you. That's the first thing. And give them examples, if they're being touched, and then when they say like, oh, no le digas a nadie, those are red flag. Like, treat kids, they're children, but treat them with dignity. Treat them as individuals who have agency and power, right? And trust that they will make those calls to talk to you, right? Because if we talk down to them or we think they're not going to do it, we're already setting them up for failure, right? So we have to trust our children since they're small. We have to begin to es como fostering, es como una semilla que tenemos que ir echándole agua, una plantita, una semilla que se va a convertir en una planta o una flor, le tienes que dar agua, le tienes que dar oxígeno, aire, and everything. You do that to a child from the get-go, from the beginning. That's part of the socialization, right? Fostering that early on so that they feel like that they're powerful, that they're strong, that they have a voice. And you know what happens? Even when you raise girls like that, they may experience sexual violence y todo lo que aprendieron, todo lo que le dijeron los papás, they lose it. They lose their voice because of that trauma that they went through. So that's why it's not, I'm not saying it's not late. It's never too late. If you have children, talk to them. If you have teenagers, talk to them. Just because they're teenagers doesn't mean, even though they say, I know, still have that conversation.
They always say, I know. I know everything. I told my son the other day, but I was frustrated. I'm like, why do I take you practice driving? If I try to take you practice driving, you're just going to tell me I know the whole
Yo
time.
tengo tres, so I hear that
But you don't drive. And
all
I've
the
been
time.
Amiga, like these issues that we're talking about, I've seen it in my own family. We're talking about like, what if it's a teen mom? What if it's someone seeking embracement or you know, whatever void it was from another man? I've seen so many things also, like in my own family. My mother was a disciplinarian up until the point that my father started getting incarcerated. And when my father started getting incarcerated, all of a sudden she did a 180 and she was like a papacharme. Like I could stay out all night. I could come
Yeah,
back.
extreme
Could
like
be,
that.
yeah, I could be on the street for a week or 2 weeks. I could get arrested and do just crazy stuff. And she all of a sudden wouldn't tell me anything. I wanted to tell you
Mhm.
the situation because
Sí,
maybe someone else is, you know, in that situation. What do you think it was that like went off in her to be like, I was a
claro.
disciplinarian, but all of a sudden, like now she's like enabling me by
Exactly.
not
Yes.
telling me anything. What do you think
Yeah.
happened?
Es que one, let's
My father would go
let's
for years. The first time he went
yeah,
for 3 years, and then he went for like 5 years.
claro, es como I mean, that's your mom lived experience and, you know, a disclosure, I'm not a therapist, so
I
like
know.
you're
There's some
asking more like a
social
therapist question, so disclosure here. No soy terapista, soy socióloga, la professor. I don't have a license to give you advice or, you
This is
know, or
YouTube.
completely answer it, pero mirar the extreme, right? Como no funcionó la manera that she was the hardcore discipline, right? The control y todo, to completely go in this spectrum, right? All this freedom. El miedo también, ¿no? Es el miedo de que te fueras a perder también, igual que tu papá, right? Pero también eso no funcionó. So, es difícil porque a la vez she's like, how do I protect my son and give him liberty? And she gave you a lot of that liberty, and a lot of that stems from that also fear, right? Of what went through with your father. And ultimately, I mean, no sé sus razones. Puede ser que también, you know, there was a level of trust, or allá tú también. You're old enough to know. Like basically también giving you that full autonomy and power. And pues aquí ya, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, a lot of all these issues that affect the brown community that we're talking about tonight. Now, I want to bring it up. Now that we're like at the halfway point, a little bit past the halfway point, because I also want you to give some information on what does the healing journey look for in each
Yeah,
of these cases. There's a lot of self-help books now, a lot of
yeah,
information out there. They say do this and tap like this or don't think about it or process it, and there's so much information out there. What is
sí,
your approach, doctora,
sí.
someone that has trauma and is trying to get past it finally?
Yeah, claro. Primero tenemos que, we cannot heal what we don't know. We
Mm,
can't. So, and a lot of people numb their feelings, numb what happens, pretend nothing happened. So that's why it takes a lot of courage. Healing takes a lot of courage because healing is not comfortable. Healing is painful. Healing is going to open up a lot of wounds. It's going to open a lot of emotions that perhaps you might be even afraid of feeling, rage, anger, like un poco de todo, right? So that's why I say that healing takes courage and it's not something easy. So I just acknowledging that, and it's not linear. So we cannot heal what we don't know and what we don't acknowledge. So And folks who are listening, that is one of the first things. And I want to just commend you if you are in this journey, if you want to do the hard work of healing for yourself and the past and future generations. So that's the first thing. Second is identify in your family, in your biological family and family by emotional ties, as we say in sociology, because family is more than biology. Under kin. So identify your safe spaces. Who are those family members, blood and emotional, that can hold space for you? And I mean hold space for you, it'd be like they can listen to you, and hopefully without judgment. And that's another thing, right? La familia a veces nos quiere apoyar, pero then they start judging, right? So it's hard, but find safe people in your life. Friends, that eso es, you need that. You need to build your community, right? And community is going to look different for everyone. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be colleagues, it can be in the actual community. And the third part of it here that ties into community is, while we are discussing mental health and the stigma and all these challenges and the socialization that happens at home, all this is depressing. It sucks. It's sad, right? Es la realidad. Es triste todo esto, pero it's a fact. While we recognize this, and while we continue to recognize that stigma is real in la comunidad, let's also, as we're going to close in the next 20 minutes, let's end on a high note that we have gone through so much trauma, right? Intergenerational trauma, the legacy of colonialism, settler colonialism, what we are currently experiencing, yet we continue to remain resilient, right? And we do storytelling, we share stories, los corridos is storytelling, right? So let's continue to uplift our cultural identity. Let's continue to uplift our cultural practices and whatever that may look for you. And if you feel like I don't have any, this is an invitation. You create. Don't let anyone tell you, well, that's not cultural. No, you make it whatever is right for you and authentic. So the resiliency, the storytelling, the music, the food, the interconnection and interdependence with family and community organizing is also part of our mental health support system. I call this community care. And as I talk about this in class, we already do community care. And I'm inviting you here that we have cultural resiliency, and we have historically, we come from ancestors of community care, even though it's been co-opted by our Western society and white wellness influencers. But community care is ancestral. So community care, that means that it is different sectors of the community that is going to help us heal, that's going to help us uplift. And by doing that, we're already challenging deficit models about healing or about our communities of color. So we are actually tapping into the cultural strengths that we already have. So every single person who's listening right now has cultural strengths. And my invitation is for you to identify them. What are they? And it doesn't have to be what the white influencers say on social media. It doesn't have to be Western therapy. Community-based, community care healing, ancestral healing, those are practices that we can engage and that we already have, right? Con el hecho de ir a una community event, right? A shout out to the Alisal Center for Fine Arts, Palenque Arts and Sun City or Seaside, there's a lot of community organizations that put on cultural festivities, that offer after school programs. That is community care, that is healing, and that is also therapy, right? So we oftentimes think about therapy from this Western lens, and I'm here to challenge that and say it's a big spectrum. And we need to have this spectrum, a diverse spectrum, because folks don't all have access to a therapist where you have to pay, where you have to have insurance. So si tienes un huevo, hazte una limpia. Si tienes ruda, if you have your herbs, you could do a spiritual bath, right? So that is also part of self-care. Then that ties into spirituality and religion. And for that, I do want to note, I know I'm saying a lot, right? But in terms of religion, it could be spiritual, y también la religión puede ser part of your healing. But I do want to caution folks, though, religion can also be a form can promote internalized shame, the belief that your depression and your anxiety is because it's your own fault, or Diosito te está castigando, right? So it can be used, it can be gaslighted. it could be weaponized. So we got to also be careful with religious beliefs, practices, y lo que dice la familia. A veces dicen, ve a la iglesia o acércate a Dios, like if that's going to like solve all your problems, right? It can be part of a packet of your holistic mental health, right? But we need more than just spirituality. We need more than religion. We need community care. We need human interaction with others, right? And if you're listening, you're like, but no tengo nada de eso. It's the truth. There's a lot of folks. I have students who don't have a support system. Then you have to go out and look for it and create community. I tell you by experience, you have to. I know it's not easy. This is not easy work. You create your community, and your community is going to change and evolve over time, and that is okay.
What about, doctora? Thank you for that. What about anyone struggling with, say, narcotics, drugs, alcohol? I was a young man and getting arrested. I wasn't 21, I had alcohol. Then I would have to go to AA meetings. And when I was in the AA meetings, I would hear the people say, as soon as I turned the aisle in the grocery store and I saw the bottles, my hands start shaking. I was like, this is a real thing. So
it is.
it's really oppressive. What about,
Mhm.
how much does drug and alcohol affect the brown community, and what
Oh, huge.
what do
Oof.
we need to help? What do we need to tell the people or warn the people about the dangers of those, or
Oh
how
my
do they
gosh.
overcome that if, say, they've been doing it for a long time and it's an addiction?
Oh gosh, that's a whole episode también, ¿verdad? And it's such an important one. También un alcohólico no va a reconocer que tiene un problema, que tiene una enfermedad, si no reconoce que tiene alcoholismo, right? That's the first step. You cannot help someone who's not willing to recognize and acknowledge that you have that. That's the first thing. Getting that help is so hard, and you know that, and we know we come from these communities, and we see our loved ones that they're struggling, I'm ready when they're ready. And sometimes it might take time. If you cannot force to take someone to an AA meeting, or si no tienen ese deseo. Eso es lo difícil, right? Pero ya cuando toman el primer paso, if they're going to you need to show up for them. That is a responsibility, that is part of community care. It's not like, oh, te ayudo una vez y ya. No, you're part of that process, part of that journey. If you want to help them, succeed, it's not easy, and it's not for everyone. Oh, baby, tú te llevo una vez, but it's being emotionally available, physically available, and sometimes financially. Sometimes you might bring them in your home to live, as they're transitioning. They're getting divorced because of their alcoholism. Entonces vienen a vivir a tu casa, and then they're going to go to AA meetings, and then they can't find a job. There's a lot of hand holding, and there's no shame in that. We need to normalize that and say it is okay. We're here for a community because this is what we care. That is part of the community care. But we go back to our cultural value, right, of el marianismo y el machismo, y más si eres hombre, qué vergüenza, qué vergüenza que you can't do this on your own. The ego, the masculinity, y todo eso, right, that plays a big role for men, and not being able to seek resources and that support system,
Now,
especially for men.
the alcoholism is a problem amongst the farm working community.
Oh, claro. And te digo que I have a lot of experience, and I can tell you a lot of it. We're talking about family separation. We're talking about the immigration journey, the traumas associated to that. Then they arrive here, they're experiencing food insecurity, housing insecurity, they're being discriminated, especially if they're indigenous, at the work environment, like they're missing their families. How are you going to cope with all this? Con el alcohol, right? El alcohol se convierte en tu amigo, se convierte en tu comunidad, right? And we're not justifying, but we're saying, like, these are some of the factors, so we can do better as a community. The county can do better too. I mean, you already know a lot of the farm working housing a veces is not accessible to grocery stores, right? Or if it's accessible, what is available for a farm working community? So, pero bueno, estamos muchos otros layered issues, right, within a farm working community, but that is huge. El alcohol es grande, y that's because they're dealing with their mental health. There's a lack of they're missing their families and they're experiencing so much stressors here y la discriminación and the unequal pay, and all that.
I see that, and I just, you're the one that just enlightened me right now. It never crossed my mind that it could be a direct result of a social factor.
Oh no, it's all related to. See, that's why it was so important for me to start our conversation that mental health is a social issue. It's not just an individual issue, and that is the core of sociology. Our individual issues that we go through are our own. They're unique, but they're part of our society. They're structural, right? Structure inequities. And folks who can't understand it, who don't want to, can say, oh, es que le falta perseverancia, le falta esto, le falta lo otro. That's individualism, and individualism is rooted in white supremacy, and we want to move away from that.
Yeah, the dale ganas, mijo, and
Sí.
all these other stigmas to not. Well,
Sí.
basically, what you were saying is when I asked you about healing, okay, how does someone process healing? You were saying the first thing to do then, correct me if I'm wrong, is express it.
Ya, y tienes que reconocerlo. Claro, reconocer que necesitas ayuda, que
And then
estás
you said,
batallando. Normalize it. Normalize the conversation.
and then you said the second thing was what? To find the right
Identify.
people?
Yes, identify
Community.
people that safe space. Identify safe people, safe spaces that you can go to, especially if you lack the resources. Someone had said, I saw in the comments briefly, oh, that our community is like illiterate or it needs scientific evidence. Yes and no, because that's a deficit thinking. We want to change that and say, no, our communities they already know, they already have a lot of the skills and ancestral knowledge and wisdom. We carry it in our DNA. We have these practices, but because of this society that we live in, we've been shamed by some of these practices. So I'm inviting folks to tap into those ancestral practices, even in the food. I'm not saying que la comida cura, pero la comida, nuestras comidas culturales, it's memory, it's storytelling, it's love, it's community, it's a sense of comfort, right? And that can make you feel good, right? So, hay que comer nuestras comidas culturales. Something so simple.
I didn't even know. Did chocolate that came from indigenous también?
Sí,
Me
sí, el
dijo,
chocolate, nada, right?
and we always thought it came from Sweden, yeah, where they have horns on their shoes, and they look like leprechauns or algo así. But we have that, which is beautiful. And the processing of healing, is that something that needs to happen, or can someone live the rest of their life still successful, functioning human being without addressing a skeleton in the closet?
People like that, and I know people like that. So the answer is they are living the life. They may be externally successful. They may have the job, the family, the house, the dog, the car, the trips, todo lo exterior. But that's material stuff, right? At the end of the day are you masking, right? And you're masking so that you don't have to address this. And it's working, but it might, it might show up in illnesses later on. Maybe you're not talking about, todo está bien, no pasa nada. Te pega un ataque al corazón. Then your blood pressure, o que tienes otras cosas, right? So it can manifest itself in other illnesses.
If you harbor it, if you
harbor it, if you keep it in, hay que hablar algo tan sencillo como los dolores de cabeza. Something so simple. You're not talking about the trauma. You're not talking about anything that's going on. No puedes dormir. Tienes insomnio, so you can't sleep, and you have headaches.
So it
right?
will. So
Something so simple.
You're saying that harboring these things,
your body keeps the score.
Affect our health.
Yeah, your body will keep the score. Like your body will keep the score.
What if someone is ashamed to tell someone of what happened?
If you are ashamed, don't let that stop you from continuing to talk about it, to find that person wasn't able to hold space for you. The person wasn't able to show up for you. Move on, acknowledge that, and look for someone else. Yes, someone else. That is the resilience. But you already have that resilience. You already carry that. Ya lo tenemos. Es nomás seguir, pero the stigma y el qué dirán y no hay que hablar de estos temas
I say,
but
what if there's
because
a
mhm,
young girl that all of a sudden gets this enlightenment, like, you know what, I have to process this thing that's causing me nightmares and not to sleep.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
she goes to her mother,
Yeah.
and the mother says,
No, mija, te quedas calladita, aquí no pasa nada, like gaslighting, nothing happened. I tell you because, I get this from my students. And if you're listening and you're one of these individuals, then you look for safe space. Hey, reach out to me. You reach out to a counselor. It requires you for help. I heard this somewhere that successful people, we need to move away from, yeah, we may have, yes, I work hard to have my degrees, my accolades, todo eso, but at the end of the day, when I die, I don't want to be remembered by that. I want to be remembered by my values, by my alignment, by the contributions I made to the community. That is the most important thing. So being successful is being in alignment with your values and being able to ask for help and leaving your ego on the side and saying, I need help. I don't know. So, but we live in a society where we are shamed, and we're shamed more if we already see we're already successful, right? But like, I'm here to say, no, I don't know it all. I ask for help. So successful people who are in their healing journey are going to ask for help. The hardest words are help, HELP, help. No
what
queremos hacer ese trabajo, help.
exactly?
Que necesito ayuda por el qué dirán y el estigma y todo lo demás. Nuestro éxito en la vida, en todo lo que hacemos, es reconocer que necesitamos ayuda and to uplift each other.
I had a friend, a law passed, SB 260. It was the law that gave juveniles life sentences without parole, and they used to put us in prison at 16 years old. But this is back old laws in the 90s. He
Mhm,
came out after 22 years. He was the first or second interview I did on my channel. I was already heavily involved in the community and doing work and doing everything that I do now back then. And you know what he told me, doctora? I said, if you could tell the youth anything, what would you tell them? And you know what he told me, doctora? He said, ask for help.
yeah, that's
He
true.
said, I wish I would have asked for help when he seen the gangs, generational gangs in his family, the drugs, and he just felt the pressure to be exactly like
Sí,
the people that he was around, a gang member. And he
yeah.
found himself 16 years old with a life sentence, and he
Mhm,
got a second chance. Now he's in the electrical union, has a family. I actually went to his wedding and I did the interview that same weekend. And this is a buddy of mine that I didn't think was ever going to come home. And
mm,
he told me that on that interview. He goes, if I could say anything, I wish I would have asked for help
that's right.
sooner.
Ahí está, ¿verdad? Que
We
es lo
didn't have to go
difícil.
through all that. But some of those situations son difíciles. Okay,
Sí,
what if it's a man, a
we have to
boy?
unlearn. Yeah,
Now it's causing shame, but because men have to deal with pride and
that's right.
it's different from women.
It is.
How what is a man's trauma,
Yeah.
and should he also speak up?
Yes, to ask for help, we have to unlearn the BS that we've been conditioned to believe. The shame that you're not strong enough, you're not good enough, or you're not man enough. That is toxic masculinity at its finest, and it's a detriment to men of color, right? Así es de que we have to unlearn that. And even as adults, even now, if you're struggling, is identifying what are those voices that are creeping in. Who told you? Who told? Identify, because we hear it. We self-sabotage ourselves, and that self-sabotaging is coming from our society, from the social conditioning, and it's coming from family, it's coming from friends. And if we're able to identify those voices and name them and name the people, be like, not today, Jose.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is. I know it sounds
I know.
cheesy look. No, pero es la neta. Es cierto. How can we unlearn and change the narrative and unlearn this if we can't recognize where they're coming from, right? So let's name those voices. Let's name. And that is powerful. And that is part of the liberation too, right? You're transmuting that energy from your body. You're releasing it by naming the aggressor, the person who harmed you. That is powerful. I mean, you do that in therapy too, but if you don't have access to therapy, you
I've
can
seen
journal,
that.
you can walk. Es
That is
cierto,
powerful.
la neta.
I've seen people shaking, pointing the finger, tears,
Sí.
and I felt like they
Yeah.
were releasing finally
That's right. Yes.
something.
That is
that-
powerful. Powerful. That is powerful.
Wow, that's awesome, Doctora. I appreciate your time. Probably the feedback from the video. I might have to try to catch you in between semester breaks again, or in
Híjole,
between
I'm
students,
so busy.
grading
Like
papers.
you.
Exactly. But thank you again. I appreciate you. All the comments that are coming in, I know they were asking about, they were praising you, saying what kind of
Gracias.
doctor and all these other things.
Sociologist.
Just to let you know, this is Dr. Hortencia Jimenez. Follow her on Instagram if you want more tips, advice, just like she's telling us. I mean, everything we talked about affects the brown community. You know what? Last question. We got 3 minutes left. What
Sí.
advice? What do we need to do? You said first gen. I'm first gen, like you.
That's right.
What advice? How do we need to raise our children in order
Yes.
to not present these stigmas
Mhm.
anymore?
We
What
need
do we need to do
Yeah.
different than our parents?
We need to heal. We need to heal the trauma that we're carrying, the intergenerational trauma. Like that is, excuse me, that is so fucking powerful when we are able to say, aquí para el trauma. I'm healing my parents. I'm healing my grandparents. I'm healing all these past generations. That's why this work is so fucking hard, because you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your generations in the past and the future generations. That's how deep this work is. And I'm talking from an indigenous epistemology lens, not from this Western individualism. We are talking about collective healing. That's why this is not easy. So yes, you have that responsibility. If you're listening, we have, I don't want to call it a burden, pero es una responsabilidad que tú tienes, so that we can show up better, so that we can parent better, so that we can show up better in our professions, become better community members, just better human beings, right? I think that's why we have so much racism, all this stuff, because there's so much hate. People are carrying so much hate, and I am spilling it out on others. And it's not even about us. We trigger people, but it's not us. It is their traumas, right? There's something about us that manifests their own traumas. So if you do your own healing, you're good. Let others do their thing. You do your healing so that you can show up for everyone, and then you can collectively uplift the community, right? Especially if you're everyone, regardless of what roles you have, what profession you have, everyone is equal in terms of this community care.
Wow, I couldn't have ended it any better than that. Doctora Hortencia Jimenez, thank you for coming on Chicano Tube, mi Salinas hermana. There might be another sequel, but this summer I'll reach out to you. Thank you again for your time.
Gracias, and thank you everyone for the comments. Do support my work. I'm on Instagram at Dr. Hortencia Jimenez. I am one of the few Mexicana inmigrante of Wixárika ancestry doing this work. It is not easy. It is not popular, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to create awareness, consciousness, and education and social justice. So support my work. If you are from an organization, I'm on TikTok, pero I don't know cómo le hacen con tantas plataformas, but I'm mainly on Instagram. That's where you can find me. I'm a community person. I live in the community. If you work for an agency, government, business, lo que sea, you want to bring me in to talk about different issues, I'm here. I'm here because I care.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctora. Have a good night. Thank you again. I appreciate you. Live on Chicano Tube, live on Chicano Tube. Guys, we are out. Remember what I always say? Remember what I always say. In the end, all you got is the memories. Have a good night, guys.
Gracias a todos. Gracias. Shout out to Marisa, my former student. Thank you. Gracias.